I never thought a quiet Saturday in our suburban enclave could turn into a full-blown nightmare. But that's exactly what happened when the HOA queen's daughter decided my prize quad was hers for the taking. It started innocently enough, with me tinkering in the garage, but by the end of the day, lives were hanging in the balance, secrets were unraveling, and a whole community was about to rise up against the tyrants who'd ruled us for years. What unfolded wasn't just a theft, it was a revelation of corruption that shook our peaceful neighborhood to its core. Stick around, because this tale of entitlement, deceit, and sweet justice will have you questioning just how far some people will go to protect their power. Let me take you back to that fateful morning in Pine Ridge Meadows, our little slice of American suburbia just outside of Seattle, Washington. It's the kind of place where folks wave from their porches, kids ride bikes on tree-lined streets, and the biggest drama is usually who forgot to mow their lawn on schedule. I'd been living there with my wife, Susan, for over a decade, raising our family in a cozy ranch-style home on Birch Lane. At 58, I've seen my share of ups and downs. Retired from a steady job as an auto mechanic, I spent my days restoring old vehicles in the garage. That particular quad, a beat-up 2019 Polaris Sportsman I'd picked up at a junkyard auction, had been my passion project for 7 months. I'd stripped it down, rebuilt the engine, painted it a sleek forest green, and it was finally purring like new. My first slip-up was leaving the garage door wide open while I polished the seat. In hindsight, it was an invitation for trouble, but in Pine Ridge, we trusted our neighbors, or at least, we used to. The second mistake? Moving into a community governed by a homeowners association in the first place. Those HOAs can be a double-edged sword. They keep the yards neat and the streets safe, but when the wrong people get in charge, they turn into petty dictatorships. And in our case, the queen bee was Brenda Hargrove, the iron-fisted president who'd turned the HOA into her personal fiefdom. Brenda was a force of nature, or so she liked to think, a sharp-tongued widow in her mid-60s with perfectly coiffed silver hair and a wardrobe full of pastel power suits. She'd fine you $50 if your mailbox wasn't the approved shade of beige, or slap a lien on your house for a holiday wreath left up past New Year's. Her enforcer was Victor Lang, a burly ex-military type who patrolled in a souped-up golf cart, handing out citations like candy. And then there was her daughter, Emily Hargrove, a 17-year-old spitfire who'd inherited her mother's sense of invincibility. Emily drove around in a shiny red convertible her mom had bought her, blasting music and flipping off anyone who dared complain. That morning, I felt a prickle on the back of my neck and looked up to see Emily lounging against her mom's golf cart at the end of my driveway. She had her phone out, probably recording, with that smug grin plastered on her face, the kind that screams, "I own this world, and you're just renting space in it." I'd dealt with her before. She was always poking around, citing some obscure rule her mom had dreamed up. "Nice ride, Mr. Harlan," she drawled, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Mom says those things are eyesores. Not fitting for Pine Ridge's image." "It's in my garage, Emily," I replied evenly, wiping down the handlebars. I'm not one to lose my cool. Susan always jokes that my blood pressure is permanently set to chill, but something about her attitude grated on me. "And you're standing on my property. Time to move along." She laughed, a sharp, mocking sound. "Technically, the driveway's part of the common area, per Rule 9, subsection D. Mom told me all about it." She stepped closer, her eyes darting into the garage, scanning my tools and shelves. That's when she spotted it. A small magnetic key holder stuck to the side of my workbench, right by the door to the house. Inside was a spare key for the quad. Convenient, sure, but in that moment, a glaring oversight. "Your quad's a violation anyway," she said, her gaze locked on the box. "Noisy, ugly, ruins the vibe." I turned my back to her, coiling a hose, hoping she'd get bored and leave. Big mistake number 3. The garage went eerily quiet. My phone buzzed with a motion alert from the indoor camera I'd installed last year for security. I pulled up the feed and watched in disbelief as Emily slinked in, snatched the box, popped it open, and pocketed the key. Her face on the video was pure mischief, like she'd done this 100 times and gotten away with it every single one. By the time I spun around, she was already straddling the quad. She jammed the key in, revved the engine, and shot me a wink over her shoulder, phone still recording. "Catch me if you can, old man," she yelled as she peeled out. tires squealing on the asphalt. The quad fishtailed down Birch Lane, exhaust billowing, no helmet in sight. I stood there, stunned, watching my 7 months of work disappear around the corner. Rage bubbled up, but I channeled it into action. Susan came out from the kitchen, coffee in hand. Was that our quad? What on earth? I showed her the camera footage. Her eyes widened. That little brat. Call the cops, John. I was already dialing 911 as I hopped into my pickup truck. This is John Harlan on Birch Lane. My quad's been stolen by a juvenile Emily Hargrove, 17, blonde, blue tank top, denim shorts. She's heading east on Maple Avenue, driving erratically. The dispatcher was calm, professional. Susan patched in from home, relaying the footage. I've got the video clear as day, she said. She trespassed and took the key. I'd hidden an AirTag in the quad's storage compartment months ago, just in case. Susan logged into the app. GPS is live. She's weaving through traffic's end units quick. I tailed her from a safe distance, sticking to the 30 miles per hour limit, narrating to dispatch. She's swerving lanes, phone in one hand. This is dangerous. Up ahead, Emily took a roundabout too fast, the quad tilting wildly. My heart skipped. Would she flip? She righted it, but the recklessness was escalating. Police lights flashed behind me. A cruiser passed, sirens wailing. Another blocked the intersection ahead. Emily spotted them and panicked, veering sharp onto Elm Street, a quiet residential road full of families and pets. She's evading, I reported, pulling over as instructed. The chase was out of my hands now, but the knot in my gut tightened. This wasn't just theft, it was a powder keg. That's when Brenda Hargrove's luxury SUV screeched up beside my truck. She burst out, face twisted in fury, dressed in her signature floral blouse and slacks. John Harlan, you're terrorizing my daughter. I'll sue you for everything you've got. I rolled down the window, keeping my tone level. Your daughter stole my quad, Brenda. The police are handling it because she's fleeing. She's digging her own grave here. She sputtered. Emily would never. She's a straight A student. But I saw the flicker in her eyes. She knew her kid's reputation. As I recounted the theft to an arriving officer, Brenda rummaged in her purse and pulled out a wrinkled paper. You can't touch her. She has a medical issue, episodic confusion disorder. This document proves she's not accountable. The officer scanned it, a homemade form with bogus legalese, signed by Brenda herself. He handed it back with a sigh. Ma'am, this isn't valid. It's just paper. Brenda's face purpled. Do you know who I am? I'm the HOA president. I'll have your job. Before she could escalate, a horrific sound echoed from Elm Street. A scream, tires screeching, metal crunching. My blood froze. The officer radioed in, then sprinted to his car. Stay put, he barked. Brenda went pale, the papers slipping from her fingers. I followed at a distance, heart pounding. What had Emily done? The scene on Elm Street was chaos. My quad lay mangled against a curb, front axle twisted. Emily was sprawled in a neighbor's hedge, sobbing dramatically. But the real horror was a toppled baby carriage on the sidewalk, wheels spinning. Lisa Thompson, a young mom from down the block, knelt nearby, cradling her infant son, shaking uncontrollably. Her husband, Mike, rushed out, enveloping them in his arms. From the skid marks, it was clear. Emily had barreled around the corner, lost control, and veered toward Lisa and the baby. Lisa had shoved the carriage aside just in time. The quad clipped it, flipping Emily into the hedge. The baby wailed, unhurt but terrified. Neighbors gathered, murmuring in shock and anger. That girl's a menace, someone whispered. The Hargroves think they're above the law. Brenda arrived, shoving through the crowd. Emily, my poor baby, what did they do to you? She ignored the Thompsons entirely, focusing on her daughter. Mike stood, furious. Your daughter nearly killed my son, and you're worried about her scratches? Brenda blinked, then defaulted to defense. It was an accident. She has a condition. See this paper? But the crowd wasn't having it. The officer stepped in. Ma'am, your daughter's under arrest for grand theft auto, evading police, and endangerment. Paramedics checked Emily, minor cuts, and cuffed her as she wailed. For the first time, her arrogance cracked. She looked like a scared teen facing real consequences. Susan joined me in the crowd, phone in hand. We've got more than enough evidence now, she whispered. But I think this runs deeper. That afternoon blurred with statements and calls. My quad was impounded as evidence. Emily spent the night in juvie. Brenda stormed off, ranting about conspiracies. But the neighborhood buzzed with Chanhea collective fury brewing against the Hargroves' reign. That evening, Susan and I hunkered down at our kitchen table, laptops open. This wasn't random, Susan said, her fingers flying. Brenda's reaction with that fake note? She had it ready, like she anticipated trouble. Susan, at 56, was my rock sharp as a tack, with a background in accounting that made her a wizard at digging up dirt. We started a group chat with frustrated neighbors. Share any footage of the green quad from 9 to 9:30 a.m. Videos flooded in the Patel's cam showing Emily running a stop sign. The Johnsons' audio capturing her yelling, "You'll never stop me." We compiled a timeline, irrefutable proof of her rampage. Then Susan checked the AirTag data. The route zigzagged, but one stop stood out. A 90-second pause in a dead-end cul-de-sac by the HOA's storage shed. Why there? I'm used. Susan switched to an online classified site, searching Pine Ridge Compliance Service with our zip code. Listings popped up, vague ads for violation removals, like yard waste or furniture, laced with HOA jargon. Item violates community standards. Retrieval fee, for $100. One seller linked to Paul Reynolds, Brenda's HOA vice president. Another ad, off-road vehicle enforcement per Rule 12E. Hold fee $600. The photo? A generic tow truck. Rule 12E doesn't exist, I said, having pored over the bylaws during past disputes. This is a scam. They steal non-compliant items and extort money to return them. It clicked. Emily's theft wasn't a joyride. It was a repo job for her mom's racket. The cul-de-sac stop? Likely a handoff point that went wrong when police showed. They're preying on us, Susan said grimly. Using the HOA as cover. We had proof piling up, but we needed to nail them. An idea sparked. Let's give them another violation to pick up. Susan grinned. We called Officer Daniels, the lead on the case. We've uncovered a scheme, I explained, detailing the ads, AirTag anomaly, and connections. Let us set a trap with your oversight. After some back and forth, they greenlit it. No vigilante stuff. We'd be witnesses only. My buddy Mark loaned an old Yamaha quad, rusty but functional. We parked it visibly in the driveway, tarp half off. Susan created a fake profile, concerned resident. She messaged the ad. Neighbor at 456, Birch Lane has an illegal quad out front. Schedule removal. Reply. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. $600 fee to owner. Arrogant they didn't verify. We set cameras, doorbell, hidden bush, truck dash cam streaming to police. I played the clueless homeowner, coffee mug in hand. At 7:05, a battered tow truck rolled up. Out stepped Paul Reynolds and Victor Lang, incognito in hoodies. No knock, they hooked the winch. Hey, I called from the porch. What's this? Victor smirked. Compliance seizure, Harlan. Violates Rule 12E. Pay up to get it back. That's theft. Leave now, or I call the cops. Victor advanced, chest puffed. We are the authority. You should have kept quiet at meetings. He shoved me hard, hands on my chest. I stumbled, but held back. Instinct screamed fight, but I knew retaliation would muddy things. You just assaulted me, I said coolly. On camera, with witnesses. His eyes darted. What camera? Too late. The night lit up with sirens. Undercover cars boxed them in. Detectives swarmed. You're under arrest for attempted theft and assault, Officer Daniels said, cuffing Victor. Paul blubbered. It was Brenda's idea. She runs the show. We watched them hauled away, a clean bust. But Brenda was the puppet master, hands clean, for now. Susan squeezed my arm. We've got them, but not her yet. The sting's aftermath was procedural, statements, evidence handover including multi-angle video of the shove. We crashed into bed, exhausted but hopeful. Justice felt within reach. Morning brought a bombshell. Officer Daniels called. The dashcam SD cards missing from evidence. Logged last night, gone today. My stomach dropped. How? Seal broken. Suspicious. Brenda and her lawyer were here till 2 a.m., pushing for releases. Sabotage. But Susan smiled. They don't know about backups. Our system auto-uploaded to the cloud. We sent the file. Daniels chuckled. You folks are pros. This escalates to tampering, a felony. Sergeants authorizing a search. Hours later, another call, triumph in his voice. Detectives raided Brenda's home with a warrant. House, car, purse. Her lawyer protested, but in the handbag? The evidence bag with our SD card, tag intact. Brenda crumbled. I don't know how it got there. Setup. No dice. Arrested for tampering, plus conspiracy in the scheme. Her empire shattered, entitlement undone by her own hubris. Court dates followed. Emily's juvie hearing. Guilty plea to theft, evasion, endangerment. Sentence. Weekend in detention, 3 years probation, license suspended till 21, driving course, 300 community hours, full restitution. She looked humbled, a kid learning hard truths. Paul and Victor pled out. Probation, fines, Victor's security gig revoked. Brenda's trial loomed, but with the card in her purse, conviction was inevitable. Felony tampering carried real time. The HOA emergency meeting packed the community center. I presented facts, thefts, scam ads, arrests. The room erupted. Votes ousted Brenda, dissolved Victor's contract, elected a new board of fair-minded folks like Mike Thompson. Weeks later, my quad returned, repaired on the Hargroves dime. I took a slow ride, helmet on, savoring the peace. Susan waited, smiling. We'd won not with fury, but facts and unity. Power like the Hargroves was illusion shattered by community resolve. In the end, no one's untouchable. Proof and persistence prevail. What do you think about the violence and injustice in stories like this? Have you faced HOA tyrants or seen entitlement lead to downfall? Share your stance in the comments. Let's discuss how we can stand against such abuses in our own lives. Your views matter.